with Max, who's a young inventor. Now, Max, what did you invent?
I invented the EHG, or Energy Horizon Gatherer, and it's an energy initiative to collect cosmic energy.
This just in. 13-year-old kid invents free energy. Electrical engineers struggle to keep up with his elite intellect.
Imagine a 13-year-old warning the world's most powerful scientists, don't break reality. That's exactly what happened with CERN, the home of the Large Hadron Collider. While everyone talks about physics experiments, this kid claims there's something darker, and they're hiding it. What could possibly be so dangerous that even a child felt the need to speak up? The prodigy's warning Max Laughlin was not like most kids. At just 13 years old, he already understood things about physics that left adults scratching their heads. While other kids were playing video games or scrolling through social media, Max spent his time writing equations, running experiments in his tiny bedroom lab, and reading advanced scientific papers. Everyone knew he was a prodigy, but no one expected what he would do next. One day, Max finished a 20-page paper that would shake the world of science. He titled it Interdimensional Transference via Quantum Entangled AI. It was full of complicated ideas, but Max had a way of explaining things so even someone with no background in physics could follow along. His paper claimed that CERN, the famous European Organization for Nuclear Research, was working on something far bigger and scarier than anyone imagined. CERN is home to the Large Hadron Collider, or LHC, the biggest machine on Earth. It smashes tiny particles together at near-light speed to help scientists understand how the universe works. For years, the LHC has been in the news for discovering new particles and testing mind-bending physics theories. But Max believed something was happening behind the scenes that the public never heard about. According to Max, the LHC had a mysterious event that lasted exactly 11 minutes. CERN called it a calibration error, and the world quickly forgot about it. But Max said it was not an error at all. He had been following satellite energy readings, and they showed strange spikes during CERN's tests, spikes that could not be explained by normal physics. Something had happened, and Max was convinced it was far more serious than anyone admitted. Max's theory was daring. He claimed that CERN had secretly developed a quantum AI, a super-intelligent computer that could predict and control events at the tiniest scales of reality. This AI, Max argued, was not just analyzing particle collisions. It was fine-tuning the LHC itself, controlling the machine to do something almost unimaginable, open a portal to another dimension. The idea sounded like science fiction, but Max had data to back it up. He explained that during the 11-minute event, the collider behaved in ways that could not be explained by normal experiments. Energy readings shot up, particles appeared where they shouldn't, and sensors recorded anomalies that still baffled scientists. According to Max, the AI had opened a doorway to another universe and then shut it after 11 minutes. No one knew what came through or what was left behind. Max tried to warn people. He emailed leading physicists, posted on forums, and even sent a copy of his paper to CERN itself. Most adults laughed or ignored him. "It's just a kid with wild ideas," they said. "We've done all the tests. Nothing unusual happened." But Max knew the truth. He had spent countless hours analyzing satellite data, reviewing collider reports, and running simulations on his own. He was sure that the 11-minute event was a warning sign, a hint that humans were meddling with forces they didn't understand. Despite being dismissed, Max felt a responsibility. He could not stay quiet. If he was right, the consequences could be enormous. Reality itself could be at risk. He wanted people to listen, to understand that science without caution could be dangerous. And so, with determination far beyond his years, Max prepared to fight against the skepticism of the world, hoping someone, anyone, would take his warnings seriously before it was too late. But Max's warnings were just the beginning. What he found next would make even skeptics pause. The symbols and secrets hiding in plain sight at CERN told a story far older than modern science. symbols, myths, and suspicions. CERN looked like a normal science place. Big machines, white walls, and smart scientists everywhere. But some people noticed something strange. CERN had symbols and signs that felt mysterious, even a little dark. It made them wonder if there was more going on than particle physics. Outside CERN stood a large Shiva statue. Shiva is a Hindu god. He is called the destroyer and the creator. He ends one cycle of life and starts another. Some thought it was just decoration. Others thought it sent a message. Maybe CERN was not just smashing particles. Maybe it was trying to destroy and create something bigger. Then there was CERN's logo. At first it looked normal, circles, lines and shapes. But when some people looked closely, they saw something shocking. The shapes looked like 3 sixes, 666. Many people know that number from myths and stories as a dark symbol. CERN said it was only a design about particle tracks, but for some it was a warning. One day, a video appeared online. It showed people in robes at CERN. They were moving strangely, almost like a ritual. Some were chanting. It looked like a secret ceremony in front of the Shiva statue. The video went viral. CERN said it was just a joke by workers, but it made people nervous. They wondered what really happened. CERN's location was also interesting. It was built near an ancient site called Apolliacum, named after Apollo, the Greek god. Apollo is the god of the sun, light, and prophecy. Some myths link him to the underworld. Some texts even call him Apollyon, which means the destroyer. People started thinking maybe the location was chosen for a reason. Maybe it could connect to forces we do not understand. Max Laughlin, the 13-year-old prodigy, noticed a pattern. He wondered if CERN was trying to access ancient power. Maybe humans had discovered it before and then forgot. Maybe they were rediscovering lost knowledge. Max studied old myths and symbols from around the world. He looked at the pyramids of Giza. Some researchers think the pyramids were not just tombs. They might have been energy machines. They were built perfectly. Some rooms and tunnels might focus energy in ways we do not understand even today. Max also read about Vimanas in Indian texts. Vimanas were flying machines. They were powered by energy we cannot explain. Could these stories be hints about old science or technology humans once had? Then he studied the Anunnaki, the beings from Sumerian myths. They came from the sky. They were said to use flying machines and fire chariots. The Bible also mentions fiery chariots. Different cultures, different continents, same idea. Beings traveling between worlds with strange machines. All of this made Max think, maybe humanity is repeating history. Maybe we are trying to reopen doors that were closed long ago. Maybe CERN's experiments are not entirely new. Maybe they are trying to rediscover lost interdimensional technology. The symbols, the myths, the stories, they all seem to point in one direction. Humanity has always been curious. Humans have always wanted to explore, but maybe curiosity comes with danger. Maybe some doors are closed for a reason. Max wanted people to see the pattern. It was not just science. It was history, mystery, and caution all mixed together. He hoped someone would listen before it was too late. The connections were clear to him. CERN was not just smashing particles. It might be trying to open a door to something ancient and powerful. The ancient connections were troubling enough, but Max found something even more unsettling. Proof that reality itself was changing, and most people didn't even notice. Evidence of reality shifts. Max Laughlin had watched CERN for years. He had studied the machines, the symbols, and the strange events. But the clearest evidence of something unusual came from the world itself. Max noticed little cracks in reality, small things that seemed wrong, things that did not match memories or history. One of the first clues was called the Mandela effect. Many people remembered Nelson Mandela dying in the 1980s. They were sure of it. But he actually died in 2013. How could so many people remember the same wrong date? Max thought it was not a mistake. He believed it was a leftover from a different reality, a faint trace from the past. Another example was the Berenstain Bears. Or was it Berenstain Bears? Some people remembered the books with an Ein spelling, but today all copies say Ein. Max saw a pattern. Small changes in history, small shifts in reality. Even Hollywood had odd examples. Many people remembered a Sinbad movie called Shazam from the early 1990s. They were sure they had seen it, but no record of the movie exists. Max believed these memories were clues. They were residual traces, reminders of a reality that had changed. Max was not the only one noticing strange things. He found reports from scientists and insiders. One of them was Dr. Astrid Stuckelberger. She had worked closely with CERN researchers. She said some physicists were aware of 17 dimensions, far more than anyone imagined. She also shared a strange story. During one experiment, an entity passed through a portal. Afterward, it left a scarf behind. No one knew how it got there. Max saw this as proof that something unknown had moved between dimensions. CERN scientists tried to explain it, but it made no sense with normal physics. Even more surprising was CERN admitting there were unknown unknowns. They said there were things about their experiments they could not explain. Max knew this was important. It showed that the collider was touching parts of reality humans did not understand. These were places where small changes could happen. Max connected the dots. The Mandela effect, the Berenstain Bears spelling, missing movies like Shazam, the 17 dimensions, the scarf, and CERN's acknowledgement all pointed to the same thing. Reality itself was shifting. Small at first, almost unnoticeable. But over time, changes could become larger. Max had a clear interpretation. He believed CERN's quantum AI and collider experiments were causing these shifts. At first, they left small traces, memories, objects, and history slightly changed. But repeated experiments could make bigger changes. Entire timelines could be affected. Humanity was no longer just observing the universe, it was reshaping it without fully understanding the consequences. Max looked around and saw evidence everywhere. History felt slightly different. Objects looked changed. Memories did not match facts. And Max realized the changes were not random. They were connected to CERN's experiments. For Max, the warnings were urgent. Reality itself was fragile. Even small experiments could create echoes from other realities. Over time, these echoes could overlap and reshape the world. He feared that people might wake up one day and find reality itself unrecognizable. The clues were everywhere. The memories that didn't match. The history that felt wrong. But when investigators tried to verify Max's story, they discovered something that changed everything, the truth twist. For years, people talked about Max Laughlin, the 13-year-old genius who warned CERN not to break reality. His paper, his warnings, and his theories spread across the internet. Everyone wanted to know more. People shared videos, articles, and social media posts about him. But then, investigators looked more closely at the story and found something shocking. At first, people thought it was a mistake. Maybe his records were hidden, maybe someone had erased them. But the more they searched, the stranger it became. There were no school records, no birth certificates, no family photos, and no proof of him anywhere. Nothing. Not a single trace. Then they looked at the famous 20-page paper, Interdimensional Transference via Quantum Entangled AI. It could not be found anywhere. It was never published. No library, archive, or university had a copy. The version online had no real author, no verified source, and no date. It had appeared suddenly and spread quickly, but it had no origin. Even the news footage of Max being interviewed was fake. The reporter was a paid actor. The boy in the video was computer-generated. Deepfake technology had been used to make it look real. The supposed satellite data showing strange energy spikes during CERN tests. That was either misread or never existed. The numbers were fake. The story of Max was falling apart, piece by piece. Then came the bigger twist. Max Laughlin was not just a made-up story. It was created as part of a disinformation campaign. Someone designed the myth on purpose. The goal was clear. People were distracted by stories of portals and interdimensional events. While they argued about Max and CERN conspiracies, the real research continued quietly. Groundbreaking discoveries in particle physics went unnoticed. The story also tested how information spreads. It measured how fast people share a mysterious story online and how little they question it. It was also a social experiment. The creators wanted to see if humans would choose a magical story over an ordinary truth. How eager are people to believe in the impossible? How quickly will myths spread if they sound exciting? The truth was simpler, but still unsettling. CERN was doing exactly what it said. There were no portals, no entities, no 11-minute events. The calibration issue really lasted 11 minutes and nothing more. The scientists were conducting particle physics research, nothing extraordinary. Yet the Max Laughlin myth revealed something about humans. We want magic. We want stories of heroes and geniuses who see what others cannot. Even in a world full of science and logic, we hunger for wonder. The myth showed that humans prefer exciting lies over dull truths. We create legends because reality feels too small. Max Laughlin never lived, but his story revealed a deeper truth about us. We are drawn to the extraordinary, even when the ordinary is already remarkable. So Max never existed. Case closed, right? Not quite. Because the real question isn't whether Max was real. It's why his story felt so believable in the first place. The Keta question. Now we reach the final layer of the mystery. Max Laughlin, the 13-year-old genius who warned CERN not to break reality, never existed. His name, his paper, his story, all of it disappeared. But one question remains. If Max is fiction, who made him and why? There are 3 possible answers. Each one is strange in its own way. Maybe Max was never created by a single person. Maybe he was born out of the internet itself. Think about it. Millions of people online sharing ideas, stories, rumors, and fears. Someone posts a small claim. Another person adds a detail. A video appears. A quote spreads without proof. Bit by bit, a person who never lived seems real. Over time, people start believing it. They remember facts that never happened. They share evidence that is fake. The lines between memory and imagination blur. Max could be the internet's first true digital ghost, a myth born from the collective mind of millions. No one planned him. He appeared because people wanted him to. It is strange to think about, but maybe Max was not created by someone. Maybe we all made him together. Now comes the darker idea. What if Max was invented on purpose? Imagine a group of people, maybe a government agency, or even CERN itself, decided to create Max. They made the story to distract the public. While people argued about portals and interdimensional events, real research continued quietly. It would be the perfect trick. People chase myths. They ignore real discoveries. Groundbreaking particle physics work goes unnoticed. It could be a social experiment. The creators would learn how humans react to mysteries, and they would measure how eager people are to believe in the impossible rather than the ordinary. If this is true, Max was a tool to shape how people think and what they focus on. Here is the one that makes your skin crawl. What if the story is not fake, but reality erased him? No records, no photos, no family, no proof at all, because he was removed from existence. His theory about interdimensional shifts might have been correct, and in the process, he became proof of his own idea. This would mean the portal opened, even for 11 minutes. Something changed, and the world we live in now is the version where Max never existed. The only reason we remember him at all is because fragments of the old reality still echo in our minds. the ultimate paradox. He warned about reality breaking, and reality deleted him to cover it up. Perhaps the real portal CERN opened was never to another universe. Maybe it was a mirror, a window into human psychology. We live in a world of science and logic, yet we crave mystery. We want heroes. We want geniuses who see what we cannot. We want stories to explain a universe that already feels too strange. Quantum physics tells us that particles can be in two places at once. Time might bend. Observation can change reality. These truths are far stranger than any portal fantasy, but because they are real, people ignore them. Maybe we invented Max to give a face to our confusion. He became a symbol of our need to believe that someone understands what is happening. The story of Max Laughlin is not about portals or CERN. It is about us. We create myths because reality feels too ordinary. We crave the extraordinary. Maybe Max never existed, but the curiosity, fear, and wonder he inspired are real. They show how deeply humans long for magic, even in a world ruled by logic. And maybe that is the final twist. The real experiment is not happening at CERN. It is happening inside us. Max Laughlin may be gone, or maybe he never existed, but his story still lingers like an echo of something we can't explain. Was it all science, myth, or something in between? Stay curious, question everything, and keep searching for the truth they don't want you to see.